In 2013, Elisa Lam, a 21-year-old student, checked into the Cecil Hotel in Los Angeles. Known for its dark history of suicides and violence, the hotel's reputation loomed heavy. Days later, Elisa disappeared, sparking a frantic search. The last known footage of her came from an elevator surveillance camera. In the video, Elisa displayed bizarre behavior, pressing random buttons, peering around as if being followed, and making strange hand gestures. Weeks later, her decomposing body was found in a rooftop water tank after guests complained about the water's foul taste. Investigators were baffled. The tank was sealed, requiring significant effort to access, and there was no logical explanation for how Elisa could have gotten there. Was it foul play, a mental breakdown, or something paranormal? The eerie twist: past guests reported seeing ghostly figures in the hallways, and some believe the building's dark energy consumed her. In 2014, the Broaddus family purchased their dream home in Westfield, New Jersey, a picturesque suburban neighborhood. Days after moving in, they received a chilling letter from someone calling themselves the Watcher. The letter was detailed, referencing the couple's children and expressing an obsessive interest in the house. "Do you know what lies within the walls?" one letter ominously asked. As the letters continued, they became more threatening, suggesting the Watcher was waiting for the young blood to arrive. The Broaddus family discovered that the previous owners had also received similar letters, but chose to remain silent. When investigators delved deeper, they uncovered rumors of satanic cults in the area during the 1980s. No suspects were ever identified, and the Broaddus family eventually sold the home at a loss. Some locals speculate the Watcher was someone close by, still watching, waiting. In 1872, the Mary Celeste was found drifting in the Atlantic Ocean, its sails intact, cargo undisturbed, and no crew aboard. The ship had left New York City weeks earlier, bound for Genoa, Italy. The captain, Benjamin Briggs, was an experienced sailor, and there was no reason to suspect trouble. Yet, when a passing ship discovered the Mary Celeste, its lifeboat was gone, and the crew's belongings were untouched. Adding to the mystery, the ship's logbook stopped abruptly 10 days before it was found, and some barrels of alcohol were missing. Conspiracy theories abound: pirate attacks, mutiny, and even sea monsters. However, a curious detail: sailors on other ships later reported ghostly figures near the coordinates where the Mary Celeste was abandoned. Was it fear of a supernatural force that drove the crew to their demise? In 2008, Brandon Swanson, 19, was driving home in rural Minnesota when his car got stuck in a ditch. Calling his parents for help, he described his location and said he would walk toward a town's lights visible in the distance. His parents stayed on the phone with him for nearly an hour, but Brandon seemed disoriented. At one point, he exclaimed, "Oh no," and the line went dead. Despite exhaustive searches, no trace of Brandon or his belongings was ever found. The eerie twist: multiple witnesses in the area later reported seeing strange lights in the sky that night. Could Brandon have encountered something otherworldly? Others speculate he fell into an abandoned well or was taken by someone lurking in the shadows. Whatever the truth, his final words remain haunting. On Christmas Eve 1945, a fire consumed the Sauter family home in Fayetteville, West Virginia. George and Jenny Sauter escaped with 4 of their 10 children, but 5 were never found. Investigators concluded they perished in the fire, yet no human remains were ever discovered, even after extensive searches. Suspiciously, the telephone lines to the house had been cut, and a ladder typically kept on the property was missing. Years later, Jenny received a photograph of a young man resembling her missing son, with a cryptic note written on the back. Private detectives followed leads but never solved the case. The chilling twist: locals whispered of a mafia connection, claiming the children were kidnapped in retaliation for George's outspoken criticism of Mussolini. To this day, the fate of the Sodder children remains a haunting mystery, with their photographs still displayed on a family billboard, pleading for answers. Three lighthouse keepers, Thomas Marshall, James Ducat, and Donald MacArthur, disappeared from Eilean Moor without a trace. When a relief team arrived, they found the lighthouse in working order. A meal was half-eaten on the table, and two of the men's oilskins were gone, suggesting they'd ventured outside. But the third man's coat was still hanging up. The only clue was Marshall's cryptic journal entries, severe winds, the likes of which I have never seen. James is very quiet, Donald weeps. However, weather reports from the mainland indicated calm conditions. In 2020, forensic meteorologists revealed the area had no storms recorded that year, confirming the entries were either fabrications or the result of shared hallucinations. Locals believe the men fell victim to the Blue Men of the Minch, mythical sea creatures known to lure sailors to their deaths. Others argue the mystery lies within Marshall's journal. Its ink contains traces of an unknown hallucinogenic fungus. After their two daughters, Joanna and Jacqueline, tragically died in a car accident, John and Florence Pollock were devastated. A year later, Florence gave birth to twins, Jennifer and Jillian. As they grew, the twins began recalling details of their late sisters' lives, including events and places they had never seen. Jennifer had a birthmark identical to Jacqueline's scar, and the twins displayed identical fears and preferences as their deceased siblings. They even remembered specific details about the fatal accident. When the twins turned 5, all memories of their past lives disappeared. A psychologist suggested they were merely repeating stories overheard from their parents. But one eerie fact remained unresolved. The twins knew the exact location of a hidden toy their parents had buried years earlier, a toy belonging to Joanna and Jacqueline.